and welcome to Josef's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me. Just a little bit of housekeeping. You don't need to like, follow, or subscribe to any of my videos. I just put them out there where I can have a holly jolly great time doing so. Now, in today's video, I'm sorry there's been a few boring ones, but there's a few delays with some key projects, and I'm working closely with people from all around the world to bring some things together. Now, I don't know if you like this camera shot or not, because I know there's one post that's deliberately in the way I can see, but I'm going to leave it like that. But I hope you're enjoying it. I thought we might try and get a few different angles when I'm shooting some of the intros and outros. And as you saw in the outro to the previous video where you saw the time-lapsed cleaning of the room, I actually liked how that camera angle worked out. So I thought we might just do it because it gives you a chance to also explore some wonderful things. But we're going to talk more about that as we get a little more of the scenics done and start shooting images of the trains and things. And we're going to try a few different things with different cameras and things like that. Future Joseph's problem. We're right here, right now, with a simple video, which there are a few key models that I need to be constructing and building. As I've made quite clear, I'm very happy with the Hornby and Bachmann approach, whether it be Scaledale or Scenecraft respectively, where we can just take a building and put it on and just customize it where necessary. But as you've seen, sometimes that's not always the case. Up to and including our little grandstand at the Radio Control Club track, which you can certainly see here. And isn't it wonderful that when you do spend the extra detail, because no one really gets to see the inside of the grandstand, but using this camera angle, you know, it really pays off and it sort of looks, I think, quite reasonable. Now, so in which case, I apologize because hooray for you, it will be a short video. And that's because I wasn't shooting a lot of footage that we're talking about techniques and that. I've spoken to you about my ways of building models and things like that and my simplistic approach. All the mistakes that I make seem to add a little more realism, I find, to this experience. Well, that's my excuse and I'm sticking with it. But in this one, and as you're going to see in a couple more coming up later down the track, it was just a matter of taking some key pictures during the build process, of which I'm going to voice over and just tell you basically what I got up to and how it was. So it's a nice quick one. Sit back and relax and let's have a look at what we can come up with.
Well, as always, a bit of research, and once again we return to South Australia and my hometown of Whyalla, where just located a bit behind a very close family member happened to be a substation in town on Beerworth Avenue. It's still there. These are obviously more updated images, but there did used to be a lot more trees just surrounding it to sort of hide it. We also do recall seeing some slightly older style of transformers there. And by that I mean, of course, in these more modern ones, we can see all the razor wire, and that used to just be the single barbed wire going around. But I'm talking about transformers that looked a little bit more like this. Of course, now it's looking a lot more modern, as we can see in this picture. We also can come over to the entrance of Whyalla, where you'll see the steelworks and you'll see the substation that is located there. So that's, of course, as far as I can recall, 3. So I know there's certainly the one leading into town. Let's just zoom out a bit and skip across to the original one at Beerworth Avenue, as I mentioned, which is located just over here, as you can see from the aerial shot. It's nice and clear what a substation should look like. And if we also just take a quick hop, skip and a jump to the west side of Whyalla, you'll see on Bastion Crescent, we also happen to have another one located out there. Look, there may even be some more, but these are the ones I can reference for the moment. As you can see, here's just a stock standard image, but this is the more modern transformer you will be seeing. Now, isn't it ironic that as I'm shooting the video, in my current town at the moment, we can certainly see that the local substation here is actually going through a expansion. So that was kind of nice to grab a few nice pictures there and look in the sky. Is that a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's an excavator. This is just a marvelous shot that I happened to capture while I was driving by on the day. Okay, so we're going to pick up this particular kit now. from a popular trading site. Looks pretty straightforward. Instructions are in complete and utter Chinese or something else, but as you can see, a quick Google will quickly translate. It's pretty straightforward. There's not too many parts, and while the finish on their pictures looks quite good, I just thought that concrete at the bottom looked a bit too glossy, so I simply decided to take a couple of bits of leftover balsa wood and create a bit of a subframe so I can drop all this into and out of the scenery as needed. Once it's obviously been glued together, I'm just taking a layer of AK interactive concrete that I've liberally just put across there. I thought it just sort of takes the sheen off of just that beautiful glossy plastic. Now it's time to do a little bit of research on these transformers, and we're not going to go into too much detail, although there's this tremendous site that will tell you everything you need to know about them. I'm just taking some key colors there, noting that kind of coppery brown on the insulator. And of course that sort of olive type of green that they have on the ends there. We're going to take a little bit of detail from there, and as you can see, there is no logic to it. I'm just grabbing and mixing up paints to try and achieve some colors that I think might look okay. Just try and introduce a flash there so you can get a better idea. Well, as you can see, here's our little timber frame that we've constructed, and it's just a matter. I'm just using PVA with a toothpick, and it is pretty liberally applied, but it does dry clear and the results aren't too bad. Again, we're just taking a bit of model wash. I probably would have gone just a shade darker, but it's all I had at the time. I did take a bit of the Galv spray and give it a light dusting, just using some water paint just to make the frames look a little more weathered. Of course, I did leave it out to dry on the roof of the car, and could you believe, look at this for a cracking shot. A bird came along and made a whoopsie, and it literally missed it by millimeters where it needed to be. So that's just some good timing. Okay, so we've got it all glued down now. We're starting to take shape, and all the key bits just need to be folded up and put together. Again, PVA glue for most things, although I did use a little bit of a CA glue or your instant type of adhesive just for some more trickier bits. You can see I accidentally snapped a bit there, but a little bit of glue and it's pretty hidden away. We'll weight it down with a peg, and let's hope for the best, shall we? You can see with that balsa wood, I did just give it a light dusting of brown paint. I must admit to people paying attention, I said, check this out, I'm going to turn it into a substation. They said, the what now? So a bit of a before and after on that comment would have been fantastic in this video. Well, now we've got our insulators done, and you can see I'm just gluing everything together. I just dollop a bit of PVA on some baking paper, take a toothpick and then put it into position. I do my best to try and keep things straight where I can. I'm quite happy with the color scheme. I came back and did a second coat on those, and it's not too bad. Getting it into the right angle now. Once again, PVA, because it gives us a bit more time to play with it. We set the pieces into place now, and we're going to leave them to dry. There could have been some additional sanding, but I actually don't mind the 3D printing effect of how this all came out. I think it just gives excellent texture, and again, a bit of additional weathering should come up looking quite nice. As you can see, a bit of a closer look at the concrete now, and that result's not too bad.
Hey, here I am. I promise I'm not ignoring you. I thought it was just going to be a quick side video. I wasn't trying to make it any feature length situation. What are we up to here? Well, we just got a bit of the diluted PVA or scenic cement, as made mention earlier. When I refer to it and I say diluted PVA, it's really just exactly the same recipe, except that I prefer to use Mod Podge, just because it has a slightly better finish, but not in a big way. What on earth are we up to here? Oh, now it's probably starting to make sense why I installed a base here, because obviously I want the ability to move this if needed and lift it out. So what you're about to see here is exactly what we'd see on any other part of the layout. We need a spot of scenery to go in. We're going to lay a little bit of ballast in here.
Yes, I don't mind telling you, I did weather this texturing here, knowing somehow a transformer was going to sit on it, so we'll never see it. Still, it paid off, I think, here and here. Remember, these sections didn't go through the galvanized spray.
unlike some other sections we'll see shortly. And I think it's just to break up the shades of grey a little bit. And again, these ones just had the watercolour applied directly to them, so it still looks very much as it was new, but part of the shaping of how 3D printers created them actually is basically true of the fins on the heatsink, so I think we're going to keep it like that. Well, let's slot these into place. Right, we'll let that dry now and see how we get on after 24 hours.
And we're on the home straight now. This is a bit of a fiddly bit, and I won't lie to you, they certainly don't give you enough wire as per the diagram to get this thing wired up, but just a little bit of thin wire. In my case, I actually just ended up using the DCC Concepts extension wire and just ripped the black off and then used it. It's a slightly thicker grade, but I think you can see how I've used it with the thinner stuff and created a reasonable effect here. Again, in my application, these feeds would be going underground, so there probably won't be a lot of aerial action going on. So we'll finish that off when we get to the completed scene. But we now start to put on our lightning conductors. You can see here's a great example of a whoopsie daisy with the ladder, where we've got a bit of CA glue that collected at the bottom. I'm sure we can tidy that up in the final scene with something, but it's all starting to come together now.
Power up! Ta-da! Yes, indeed. The little substation is now complete. And I certainly hope you enjoy it as much as I do. What the hey? Let's look at some more polished up final shots now, shall we? Well, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't be more happier with how this little project has turned out. Okay, there are a few anomalies here and there, but for the most part, and it is actually quite a bit bigger than I thought it was going to be, but I think it's turned out quite okay. So for the most part, this is a winner. Obviously, I'm still going to need to finish up around it once it drops into its scene. So if you're just wondering why, how come we didn't do any more with the gravel or stones around it, that will be coming up as we find its forever home. In the meantime, though, I hope you've taken a little something away from it, and it's a tremendous little kit to add a little bit of detail and maybe just what you're looking for on your particular layout. So until the next one, you know what I'm going to say, and you're probably already looking, saying, how's he going to get his second thumb up? You're right, it's just going to be one. Do stay safe, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Toodles! Hey, hey, hey! Take care.